Hi, this is Jocelyn from Just Accounting again. Today I wanted to update you on the GE taxes of the state of Hawaii. So if you have a business or you do business in the state of Hawaii, I'm going to do a little foundation of what GE taxes are. They are a tax on your gross revenue or gross sales receipts. So it is either products or services. It's like unlike any other state in the nation, we tax you on everything that you make. No expenses allowed, essentially. That's the umbrella concept behind GE taxes. Taxing you on your gross sales. They don't care whether you invoice your customers. You can invoice your customers. You don't have to invoice your customers. Either way, you're going to have to pay your GE tax. You pay GE tax on rental income, pay GE tax on business services, pay GE tax on sometimes nonprofit products, potentially, maybe. You pay GE tax on products, you pay GE tax on Airbnb. Everything is basically, if it's considered income, it's probably going to be subject to GE tax. There are some quid pro quos, but very few exceptions, actually. As of March 23rd, there's some new updates that have come out. For the state of Hawaii, income tax returns is postponed to July 20th for filing, and the payment is also extended to July 20th. However, filing and payment deadlines for all non-income tax, which is withholding, which is your payroll, excise tax, which is your GE tax, transit accommodations, which is TAT, which translates again into GE tax, are unchanged. No extension for that. Please file on time, April 20th. Mandatory e-filing is going into effect for all the following tax types: general excise and transit accommodations. So you're not going to be able to go down to that little old lady at the tax office anymore and hand her the paper. You need to do it online, which brings you to the portal. You need to create a login if you already have a business. And some people say they've been emailing them the password. A lot of people get letters in the mail with a letter ID allowing you to eventually log on. Once you have logged on, and you've gone through that process, which it is kind of frustrating, so I'm sorry about that. You only have to do a log on if you already have a GE license, so don't do both. If you already have a GE number, you just are creating a log on. So I'm going to just show you some of the system in here. So I'm going to log in to my account. Once you've logged into the GE tax online and you have an account and you have a username and a password, the GE office will tell you what you need to file, actually. They will show you on here what exactly needs to be filed. So I'm going to show you, these are your withholdings for your payroll, and my payroll person does these. These are your GE 45 and your 49. So if you live in Hawaii, at this point, it's mandatory to e-file these on this portal. And this is your corporate income. You might also have an N11 or an N15. There's a whole bunch of other forms that might be on here if you're using a personal account that just has some GE information. So for example, every month, so mine's monthly, it can be it's supposed to not have semi-annually, but it might say semi-annually, quarterly or monthly. So if you pay more than a certain amount, you have to file monthly. And you'll come up here and you'll see I've already filed all of my returns. And you basically click on File a Return. It'll open up the form. Seems like it's really slow today, but it'll open up the form for you to pay. And you're going to, you can read this if you want. It's saying basically what the GE tax is. It taxes everything. There are some exceptions, and we'll go over that in just a second. And this tells you what you're filing it for. So this is for the GE 49 for April. So typically I'm not going to file the April 30th GE 45 until April is done. This is just for an example to show you how to file for GE 45, if it will process. They're very busy right now, and I'm sure since they told everyone they have to file it online, they're being inundated with applications. If it'll work. There are two forms for the GE tax return. There's the GE 45, which is the monthly or quarterly return, and then there's the GE 49. And the state does not have a calculation to tell you how much you filed on your GE 45s for your 49. You have to do that manually. Then you pick which district we're in, and we are in Hawaii. And that says, do you have any exemptions to report? Yes or no? I'm going to put yes. Do you split your income from any of the sources? So if you split any of your income, you put yes. Very rare for people to split their income, but mine is a no. Then you go to the first part where so it's broken out by different percentages of how much you pay. And I don't know how they figured this out, but this is what they did. So you've got wholesaling, manufacturing, producing, wholesale services, land value, disabled persons are $2,000. And so if you're any of these things, let's say you sell a product to Costco, you are a wholesaler probably, or a producer. Talk to a professional before probably putting these down, but if you know for sure that you are wholesaling, you can put your information here. So I'll just put, let's say I'm not a wholesaler, but just for the fun of it so you can see what happens, I'll put $15,000, tab over, and then you do next. Here's where you have the regular 4% excise taxes. So there's retailing, that's if you're selling products at a store. Services, including professionals, that's me. So let's say we put another $15,000 here. Contracting, theater amusements, commissions. Actually, I'll do a different number so you can see the differences here. So let's say we did 25,000, but I had some out-of-state sales that I went to North Carolina and I did my work in North Carolina at the office there, and I had $10,000 over there. So I had $25,000 of gross income. $10,000 did not happen in this state. I'm still having to report it and exempt it. So it's $15,000 of taxable income. Let's say 8, so it doesn't mean the same as the wholesale. Theater, commissions, TAT, this is TAT, transit accommodation rentals. Other rentals would be your regular long-term rentals over 30 days. Interest and all others, etc. So then you say next, and this is where insurance commissions, if you sell insurance, where you put insurance, it's very low as well. So then it shows you that you're going to have some county surcharges, which change constantly. So you might want to keep an open mind about that. And you'll see it'll tax you on your county surcharge. Then if you had said yes to the exemptions part and you remember what you put in, so I think we had put in $8,000. Now you have to pick an activity. So what do I do? It was services including professional. So you pick you have to remember what you did in the past. It won't remind you, so you'll have to remember. So which one you are picking, and then you'll tab over. So it's saying it's freezing on me a little bit, but it's not uncommon for that to happen. It's not, let's see here. This one doesn't necessarily like it. And then it timed me out. So there you have it. If you'll have this happen, and it will happen more often than not. You don't have to get super frustrated. You just can keep going. So we can go back to Hawaii Tax Online and see, it won't have remembered any of the information you put in. So make sure you're writing it down before you put it on. So what will happen after you log back in and enter all those information? It will calculate your tax for you on the next screen. So you put your exemptions in if you have any. It'll calculate your tax, and then you say submit, and you can either pay it online with a debit or bank account, or you can wait for them to send you a bill, which they will. So let's see if it'll let me do anything here. If we go back, it did let me in, so that's exciting. So we said 8,000 as exemptions, 25,000 as services, including professional. I thought we said 8. I knew we said 8. If you think, I do this for people all the time, and so if you get frustrated, don't get too frustrated, because for people that even do it all the time, it's not working. So let's see if we can just say next and move on from that. Step must be right. So it won't let you type it in though. So I'm just going to take it out for purposes of showing this. Let's see if it'll let me. Come on. The G49, while we're waiting, is a reconciliation of all your G45s. So you add up all the G45s, and that will then bring you to the total you need to put on the G49. 2 separate tax returns, 2 separate forms, and every time that they change the county website, the county tax or the county surcharge, the form changes. So you have to make sure you're using the right form, otherwise you're paying the wrong tax. I have a really good computer too. It's not the computer, this is the website. My IT guy is great. Let's see. So this is pretty much the GE tax, and if you want to know more about it, there's not a lot of information necessarily that explains everything in this. There is like 58-page document that'll go over the different exemptions and who has to file, but essentially everyone files on their gross income unless you have an exception, and you do have to report the exceptions. So I'm going to cancel out of this for a second and see if I can show you what before it used to look like. Before you had to e-file manual, before it was mandatory e-filing, it would kind of look like this. So you'd have these forms here you could go to, open them up, and then actually type in and print out and mail. So this is a little bit of a different form, because at that point you could type it in, but that should be, this should be doing away with that. But this is kind of a little bit different than what the online looks like. This is where you put in the different forms in the actual form, and at that point it doesn't look the same as the online. So if you're expecting the online to look like the form, these are the instructions. These are prior years, depending on what you're using. You'll see there's different revisions. You've got to be using the different forms in order to file the right taxes. So this is one, it would be period ending. So this is what the form looks like. It's not what the online version looks like at all. Same concepts, your wholesale manufacturing, general excise 4%. You sign at the bottom, you repeat, you enter in again, your districts, the tax, not calculating for you automatically. It tells you what percentages to do, total amount, and then your amount of payment, etc. So once you send this in, if you ever sent this in, it is going to always generate a penalty if you're late. This is the online version that we went back to. $15,000 of a wholesale will result in $75 of tax. $25,000 of a retail will generate $1,000 in tax. So there's a huge difference depending on what you're doing. I did want you to see that. And then this is your county surcharge. Yay. Then you say next. So due and payable would be $1,200 on $15,000 of wholesale, $25,000 of retail. And you can go home. I think that's all I have for GE tax. They did say it is mandatory to e-file now, so please get your online accounts and go from there. Thanks so much. Bye.